The race reported that there was a story about Daniel Ricciardo not having such a great time at Red Bull.
Uh,
They said it was an
Wait, what?
unofficial.
Like now or back
Yeah,
then?
now. So they said
Wow.
it was an unofficial but quietly understood truth in F1 paddock that Ricciardo had been on the Red Bull simulator and struggled. 2 years at McLaren had apparently had quite a negative impact. They go on to say Christian Horner chose his words carefully, but essentially confirmed Ricciardo had returned in a limited form. Christian Horner said,
Hmm.
I guess when he first turned up after Abu Dhabi, Horner said before pausing, I think the problem is when you drive a car that obviously has limitations, you adapt and try and adjust to extract the maximum out of that car. And it was clear when he came back that he picked up some habits that we didn't recognize as the Daniel that had left us years earlier.
Do you know sometimes people inappropriately use the lollipop as an analogy, like the lollipop that gets passed around a bunch of people?
Okay.
I think Daniel Ricciardo is an appropriate analogy
Right.
for the lollipop. I think he's been passed around too many teams and he's come back to the original owner of the lollipop and they're like, oh my god, this tastes disgusting now. I feel bad for him because it's almost like what Alonso did, or I mean, a lot of people have jumped teams. Like Carlos Sainz was in like
Yeah, he's
9
jumped all
different
over the
teams,
place.
and Alonso like clearly has not been affected by driving for McLaren Honda, arguably one of the worst like engine
Yeah.
team combos in history.
Yeah.
But he came out of that.
GP2 engine. GP2 engine.
Well, I just saw a highlight reel the other day where he was like, "The car is crap, the track is crap. Why are we even still racing? Just just retire the car."
Yeah.
So he like hated his life there. So I feel bad for Ricardo that he's come back to Red Bull, which was supposed to be his saving grace, and is still struggling. I hope he can unlearn the
Well,
Red Bull
apparently he's been
apparatus.
back in the simulator and he's starting to be more like the old Ricardo.
Yeah.
What that means for his future, I'm not entirely sure. I'm trying
Yeah.
to think, if I was his manager, where would I put him just now?
It depends on how well he comes back or how fast he comes back, because the whole question right now is about Perez and is Perez challenging for the title? Is he getting in Red Bull's way? Is he tripping over himself? If that's the case, then they're gonna get rid of him and put Ricardo in, and he's gonna be a solid number 2 driver. But if Ricardo's still struggling and he still can't get up on the podium, then they're just gonna have a very, not on the podium, on the simulator, they're gonna have a very strong chat with Perez and say, you are the number 2 driver. You're not supposed to challenge Max. Yeah, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I do feel bad for him. But you know, what can you do? Have you seen him at the Met Gala?
No, I did not, because I don't care. But tell me.
Well, this was a big moment for Twitter, for Formula One Twitter. So for our listeners who don't care about the Met Gala, like Arafat, the Met Gala is like an opportunity for the rich and famous to flaunt their wealth. It's like, you know, the Capitol in Hunger Games, and they all get together and they have the craziest outfits. And for some reason, normal people who don't have millions of dollars tend to lap it up. Lewis Hamilton, so to get an invitation, it used to be very exclusive to get invitations. Only like certain rich people did. Not everyone got invitations. And Lewis Hamilton had been invited for many years back when he was winning at Mercedes, so 2016, 17, 18, 19. And he would come up and he'd wear cool outfits. And he was the first Formula One driver to go to the Met Gala. And at the time, they said, like, oh, you know, this is bad. It's a distraction. I believe it was in 2018 that he went to the Met Gala and he got so much flack for going to the Met Gala. And all these people said he's not taking his job seriously as a racing driver. And then he flew back to Singapore and did that all-time best qualifying lap that we always talk about. And then he won the race. So that was Lewis Hamilton, but he hasn't been back since 2021. In 2021, he invited an entire table's worth of black fashion designers who are underrepresented and don't get to have a big voice, because the Met Gala is ostensibly an event for high fashion, and the money they raise goes to the Museum of Modern Art. So it's like for arts. So he invited all of these black artists and fashion designers, and he gave them a seat at the Met Gala, and it was a big moment for them. But he hasn't been back since. So everyone was wondering, is he going to be back this year? So the way it happens is you don't know who is invited until they show up to the Met Gala.
Right.
And there's a live stream of the red carpet. So everyone is waiting. Does Lewis Hamilton show up? And the car shows up with the Formula One driver, and out comes Daniel Ricciardo instead. So you can imagine the complete and utter shock of everyone watching who was expecting Lewis Hamilton, and Daniel Ricciardo comes out instead.
Nice.
It was just absolute like mayhem.
Did people know who he was?
No, so not really. But I mean, the F1 people watching knew who it was, but no, people didn't know who he was. Not really. And there's like this really awkward video. Okay, you know, like the kids like that are waiting in line to like go use the potty or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like sitting there, like, you know, that's how he's like standing amongst all these like ultra rich celebrities. So there's like Anne Hathaway is standing there. She's like trying to be all glamorous, and then Daniel Ricciardo's like he doesn't
doing his Daniel Ricciardo thing. That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, so it was a pretty funny moment, I think, in Twitter, where everyone is expecting Lewis Hamilton, and out comes like Daniel Ricciardo, and like he's only wearing like a black suit. Like, you're supposed to like go all out. Like Lewis Hamilton would wear like very intense outfits, the way he does to the track. He wear that to the Met Gala, and Daniel Ricciardo's just wearing like a black suit. So it was very funny.
Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo,
yeah,
I